Hey, how y'all doing? Let me just apologize in advance because I am definitely a bit under the weather, so my voice is still raggedy. Um, so I'm here. Don't have a lot of energy, don't feel very well, but I am going to bust this review down for y'all. Um, it's just what it is. All right, so we are back for another review on How to Get Away with Murder. This is the final season, episode 8. This is the last episode before the finale. So this upcoming week is going to be the finale for How to Get Away with Murder. Also, just want to show you guys my sweatshirt because I love it. It says "Danger, Educated Black Woman," which is a fact in itself. So I just thought that was great. I don't remember where I got it from. If I do remember, I'll try to link it below. But yeah, get you one if you are a educated black woman and you're a danger to society. All right, so let's get into this review. All right, so let me just preface this episode 8 by saying episode 7 somehow or another I lost my notes and I lost my footage, and I am not in a position where I'm going to be redoing it. So episode 7 is not there. So just kind of consider this a combination or whatever you want to consider it. So there is not going to be a episode 7 review. This is just going to be episode 8 and then the finale because I'm not redoing it. So they're in class and they're there for their final exams. Annalise tells them, like, hey, you have to basically debate against me in order to pass this class. There's also a $65,000, I don't know if it's cash or a scholarship that's up for grabs for the winner who, comes up with the most compelling argument against Annalise. So, excuse me. All right, so we go on, and the case that they are arguing is the case of Snow White. The case is that Snow White is being charged with murder or conspiracy to commit murder because the elves killed the witch on her behalf with or without her input. So, yeah. So that's going to be the case that they're going to be working throughout this whole episode. We move on. The governor's giving a press conference, and this is in response to Nate and Bonnie suing her for the wrongful death of Nate's dad. So, she's talking about it and she's still kind of playing innocent and she don't want her to do it. She didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. All right, so Frank, we see that Frank has gotten better and he is back to his old shenanigans. So he's at Annalise's house and they're talking about coming up with a way to protect Bonnie because the governor will definitely come for Bonnie now that, they're trying to sue her and trying to bring her in on the wrongful death suit. Unfortunately, the prosecution says, hey, Bonnie has a conflict of interest. She used to date Miller and, she has a close tie to Nate, so it's a conflict of interest. So they lose it and she can't represent him. So they have to find a lawyer. So instead of, Frank and Annalise think, oh, they've dodged that bullet. Bonnie's no longer in the way. She's not in trouble because she, the governor and the custodians aren't going to come after her because she's not going to be working for Nate. Well, yeah, that's true. And this is, however, while they were sitting in court talking about things, Tegan walks in and she goes, hey, yeah, I'm going to be representing Mr. Leahy. I guess it's some sort of atonement because they think she is, this whole season, they've been thinking that she has something to do with Miller and with Nate Sr.'s murder. So she kind of feels guilty even though she didn't. So she wants to help Nate. So now she's taken Bonnie's place as Nate's attorney, so now that Bonnie's out of the hot seat, now Tegan jumped right in, unfortunately. So Tegan kind of gives us some insight into how she lost her whole family. And she tells us that her whole family died in a plane crash and that Jorge was the one that helped her through it. Now, I don't know how that relates to the money that he ended up giving her or the company, but her whole family died in a plane crash. And Tegan lets us know she also doesn't want help from Annalise on this silver matter as relates to Nate. And she's also going to be putting the governor on the witness stand. So that should be interesting. Annalise is still going on dates with Robert, which I feel like that's still a setup, but hell, we only got one episode left, so if it ain't, he only got another hour to figure it out. So Bonnie is in her feelings because while the prosecution was trying to find a reason to eliminate her as Nate's attorney, Mrs. Miller, which is DA Miller's mom, she comes in and she was like, yeah, Bonnie was the only person to be there for me during the time that my son died, but I feel very used. And she kind of said a whole lot of bad things about Bonnie. I don't know what led up to that. But yeah, so Bonnie's kind of in her feelings about Mrs. Miller having a lot of negative things to say about her, considering that was kind of her only last connection to Miller at this point. All right, so we move on, and the governor is on the witness stand, and Tegan shows us some images of one of the governor's personal vehicles outside of Miller's house around the alleged time that he died. Well, we know he didn't die there; he died at the wedding, but they're still trying to kind of put that off on the governor, and so what the prosecution does is they're going to come back and they blamed it on the governor's fire assistant, which her name is Paige, that was occasionally use the governor's personal vehicles for her own use, saying that she was dating a guy that lives close to Miller's house, and they have some dude in there claiming that Paige is out of the country, but the dude is there to testify that he was her boyfriend that they were coming to see over near Miller's home and not Miller. So yeah. And what Annalise is saying, in order to kind of her last ditch effort to keep everybody safe is, hey, instead of going after the governor, let's go after Miller. Like, if anybody knows him personally and anything that he would have said, Bonnie knows. So they kind of want Bonnie to say that Miller confided in her and, admitted that he had something to do with all this stuff, even though he is dead, right? So they kind of want to absolve themselves of being involved with the governor because, of course, she's always going to find a way out of it. She's never going to be held accountable for anything. So Annalise just wants them to kind of leave it alone at this point. So they're trying to get Bonnie to implicate Miller. So I don't know how happy Bonnie will be about that. All right, so Bonnie's taking the stand, and all right, so Bonnie's on the stand, and she's kind of giving her testimony, and she's letting them know, like, hey, I can tell you exactly who gave me all the information. However, I need immunity for the person who knows the real truth about D.A. Miller. I'm just a third party, but I know somebody who knows definite concrete evidence, but you have to offer them immunity. Well, that person is the police officer that actually played a role in Nick Sr.'s death, that lady that Frank intimidated a while back to lie to Bonnie about Miller's involvement. So Frank is tasked yet again to intimidate this lady again to get her to implicate D.A. Miller. Frank told her to, hey, tell Bonnie that it was Miller, even though it was not Miller. All right, so Bonnie is on the phone. She's talking to Annalise, and there's some lady, I don't remember if she was in the last episode or not. There's a lady with black hair. She's kind of following Bonnie around and, kind of reporting back to somebody, which I'm assuming is the governor. And she pulls up beside Bonnie at the traffic light. I thought, maybe she was going to try to assassinate Bonnie because Bonnie's still, in cahoots with Annalise and still trying to get at the governor. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Bonnie pulls off and the lady just stays back. She falls back behind her and Bonnie's brakes don't work. So now Bonnie is screeching and we are to assume that her car has crashed at this point. All right, so we are now at the hospital, Annalise and Frank, and we found out that Bonnie luckily did not die in the failed assassination attempt, which is my assumption, considering they cut her brake lines. But we found out that she does have bruising on the bone near her brain, so she may have a little bit of trouble recovering. And Nate showed her to the hospital to check on Bonnie, and Frank is upset about the fact that this is all because of Nate's coaxing and getting her involved back in this case as it relates to his dad. So he's upset about it. All right, so we move on to Officer Gladden. Gladden is the lady that worked with Frank to lie on D.A. Miller and to play a role in Nate Sr. subsequently being murdered. Okay, so Officer Gladden is on the stand, and Tegan is kind of bombarding her in true lawyer fashion. And she blurts out that it was actually Xavier. Xavier Castillo ordered the hit on Nate Sr. And that basically she's upset about the fact that she helped kill an innocent man, and whatever the consequences she is prepared for, she is ready for, and she's willing to live with consequences. So from what I understand in this scene, it wasn't really the governor, or maybe it was the governor in combination with the Castillos. I didn't clarify that part, but Xavier, and at least let them know, like, the only way to kind of smooth things over is for Officer Gladden to tell the absolute truth, not the truth that her and Frank fabricated in order to console Bonnie, in the fact that she helped kill Miller, but the actual truth. So Xavier ordered the hit on Nate Sr. Why? I'm not quite sure just yet. Anyway, so Tegan advised Nate to cut his losses and just to move on, but he's not going to stop. He wants to stop until the governor is taken down and every role that she's ever played in anything is, brought to the forefront. So Nate is probably going to get killed in this process because he's relentless, and he's not giving up on he's not giving up on anybody who has had a role in his dad's death. So, yeah. All right. So, Bonnie is looking at the news, and she's mad that Frank and Annalise, I guess she thinks they orchestrated Officer Gladden implicating Xavier in the trial. So she sends him away, and she's mad, and she puts him out of the hospital room. So don't know why she's upset about that, but okay, girl, whatever. All right, so the governor's doing yet another press conference, and she is pointing the finger back at Emmett. Even though he's dead, she still wants him to be the one that takes the fall for all of this, for whatever reason. Like, it just kind of seemed like she just came for Emmett out of left field last season, but we'll go with it. We're in class, and we're resolving the Snow White case. Everybody's kind of offering different plea deals and different reasons as to why Snow White is innocent, blah, blah, blah. But Annalise is not satisfied with any of the 20-something options that are on the board. However, she lets them know, hey, there's one critical thing that we are missing that may exonerate Snow White altogether. Well, the thing that could exonerate her is that there was no body. Yes, they pushed the witch off of the cliff, but a body was never recovered. So is the witch really dead? And Asher, kind of came to this conclusion with a little bit of coaxing from Annalise. So he wins the check. He passes the class. Don't know where everybody else falls in that pass or fail category, but that resolves that case. Yeah. So in solving that case, Annalise realizes, hey, yeah, they never recovered a body for the witch in the Snow White trial. This, faux trial for Snow White. And then she gets a vision, hey, maybe the witch faked her death, maybe I should fake my death. So that leads me back to an earlier statement in another video, like, hey, Annalise probably isn't dead. I may not have said it out loud, probably, but whatever. Annalise is going to fake her death. So the whole line of questioning and things that are going to happen, that are going to be brought to a head in the next episode, she's going to fake her death. Annalise is probably never, ever going to die. They're going to put this up in a bowl where she's going to flee the country, and the kids are kind of going to go their separate ways and be equally as successful. We do need to figure out what happened with Connor, because he was in the middle of a heart attack in one of the early episodes. So did he die or what? And then Michaela, and then what happened? So we'll sew all that up next week. Annalise, she calls somebody on that burner phone. She, erases their hard drive. She collects all of her money and her new identity documents. She gets in a car and she disappears. And the person on the phone lets her know, hey, when you get to the next checkpoint, we'll give you the next set of instructions. So Annalise is the fuck out of here. Annalise is gone. So that's episode 8 of How to Get Away with the Murder. Next week is the season finale. So we will see how all of this hopefully ties up in a nice little bow and satisfies my addiction to the show. So I will catch y'all in the next one. See you in the next episode. Peace.